He was my brother who moved away from this very house, where together we were raised. We were both orphans. He was discovered by my adopted mother after he crawled through a hole in that wall. She named him Muhammad, as he was a blessing to us all. I thought he was my brother, Moshe thought to himself. This man is not my brother. My brother just died. What am I doing here talking to this stranger? How did I allow myself to care for this stranger from the other side of the wall? But he loved my brother, and for that alone, he's someone that I need to know. Muhammad looked at Moshe and said, Moshe, there are so many things about you that remind me of my brother. It is as if I'm looking into the eyes of my brother when I look into your eyes. Moshe replied, you see your brother in my eyes. I see my brother in your eyes. Children of Abraham, children of Abraham, children of Abraham, children of Abraham. Moshe humbly asked, may I grieve the loss of your brother with you in your home tonight? Yes, replied Muhammad. You are welcome. Come inside. Moshe fearfully entered the home of the very people he tormented for years. They all embraced, and face to face, they cried 2 lifetimes worth of tears. The old woman of this house who'd raised Moshe's brother looked at Moshe with shock and dismay. She grabbed Moshe. You live, Muhammad, she cried, because without Moshe's helmet, and without Moshe's uniform, and without Moshe's anger, Moshe was the living embodiment of his brother. Muhammad whispered to Moshe, let her believe her son is alive in you. She's old and it will be okay. So Moshe agreed, and through her open arms, a mother's love poured out from her to him. Moshe received all the love that was meant for his brother, and Moshe's heart was filled to the brim, filled from the love from this stranger from the other side of the wall. Children of Abraham, children of Abraham, children of Abraham, children of Abraham. Lying in his brother's old bedroom, in his brother's old bed, Moshe felt strangely at home. He drifted off to sleep as he lay. He imagined a different life had he crawled through that opening instead of clinging to his father's side that fateful day. Dream, dream, dream. Moshe had a wonderful dream, and in his dream, he fell out of bed, but the floor was gone. He landed instead on the soft, freshly tilled soil that had been warmed by the early morning sun. He had never seen or felt such rich and fertile soil in these barren lands around his home. Moshe noticed his hands were small, and he felt strangely innocent. He was at the hatred wall, at the very spot where his brother had crawled through as a very young boy. Son, he heard a call from behind him. He looked up, and towering over him was a man so familiar and welcoming was his face. He was like a giant. It was his father Abraham. Abraham looked down upon him lovingly and said to Moshe, Son, take your brother's hand. Moshe looked over and saw his brother, who needed no introduction, as he was as familiar to Moshe as pictures of himself as a small child. Moshe's memories began rushing back to him. His heart raced with excitement, simple, childlike, innocent excitement, the kind of joy a grown-up could seldom ever even dare to feel, with unbounding love for everything and everyone. Moshe was holding his brother's hand once again. It seemed like only minutes had passed since they were all together last. "Boys," Father said, "there will be no more fighting between you. There's work for you instead." Moshe couldn't even imagine what he and his brother could have ever had to fight about in his wide-eyed little head. Just then, Father Abraham extended his right foot and drove it forcefully into the soil. Thunder crashed, then rain poured down as Abraham's legs fused together into one powerful trunk, and his feet split apart, and roots extended from his toes, and he rose, and he rose, and he rose. Then Father Abraham reached down 50 feet from on high to scoop up one child and then the other with his long, winding arms. He held his sons high in the air, yet Moshe was not afraid. Abraham proclaimed, "Children, I am a tree, and you are my branches." Then suddenly, as if his father had commanded it, Moshe felt himself changing, and from his father's great hands, Moshe began turning and twisting, intertwining himself into and out of the very flesh of his father. When Moshe had stretched and reached as far as he could, he stopped. Moshe was now a giant tree branch, extending over the land. Moshe looked down 100 feet below and saw the roof of the home where he had been raised. He could see another massive branch that was his brother. His brother was a tree branch too, just like Moshe, and his brother was extending out directly above his former home on the other side of that wall. The rain stopped as suddenly as it had begun, and like a bolt of lightning came the sun. With blazing heat and light, it bathed them and nourished them, and Moshe felt leaves growing through him, from him, and then fruit began to heave and swell and fall to the ground like rain from him and his brother. Olives, beautiful olives, fell everywhere over both sides of the wall and covered all this land, breathing life into every cell of everything, from soil to sea. "Sons," Abraham said softly, in a voice that shook the very heavens, as it was such a great whisper, "you will notice that no matter on which side of this wall the fruit of your father falls, the fruit is the same beauty, the same taste, the same life." Just then each olive that had fallen began to quiver, and like the explosions of the bombs that haunted the air for so many years, the olives burst into the soil and rooted themselves, and all the land shook and trembled with anticipation. The children of the children of the children of Abraham then grew and grew, shooting shoots. They grew into and out of the tanks and cannons and tore through the wall, and any evidence of war or hatred became nothing at all. The people came out of their homes. On both sides where the wall once stood, not a single soul appeared surprised. They must have been waiting for this day all along. They all began to harvest the fruits of peace together, and working together, they all found in this new life life's old meaning. And while they all rejoiced, Moshe could hear his father singing. "Children of Abraham, stop the killing, I know you can. Only the most devout and faithful love could ever take the stand. Oh, children of Abraham, stop the killing, I know you can. Ask for nothing in return, just come from your heart, come to listen and learn. Whether Baha'i, Christian, Muslim, or Jew, blood spills from me when blood spills from you. When I see the news, I see my own children dying. For humanity, for me, in you I'm relying.